I'm Nora, and welcome back to Novels with Nora. Today is something a little bit different, as today I will be having surgery. And you might be thinking, Nora, why are you filming your surgery? And the answer is because women's health is something that I am very passionate about, and I think that we need to talk about more. And so I'm here today to make this video for anyone else who might be needing it, or just to share some resources about women's health and different women's health topics that I think should be talked about more. So I'll be putting a whole bunch of links in the description to different women's health resources that you can peruse on your own accord. But as for the surgery I am having, today I will be having a lumpectomy to get a fibroadenoma removed from my left breast. Now, what is a fibroadenoma, you ask? Great question, because I didn't know either. So, taking you back, about 2 months ago, I noticed that I had a lump in my breast. And I was like, oh, that's not good. But, I didn't think too much on it. I was in my final semester of college, like 2 weeks away from graduation. I just genuinely did not have the time to be thinking about it. But once I graduated and moved home, I was like, I should probably get this checked out. So I went to my gynecologist, and I was so incredibly lucky that it is not breast cancer. And there's no history of breast cancer in my family, so I was so incredibly lucky, truly. However, what I do have is a giant fibroadenoma. So what's a fibroadenoma? Great question. It is just like a ball of tissue of like fibrous and glandular tissue. It's non-cancerous, it is benign, it can be removed, it's totally fine. However, you'll never know how you got it. It's typically linked to different like hormones, and women ages like 15 to 35 are more likely to get them than anyone else. So what I have is giant. It is very large. However, I have quite large breasts, so I didn't notice it right away, and also it didn't seem that big, just comparatively. However, it is very large, so I had to get it biopsied. And that was a process, but it was not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. So if you need a breast biopsy, just do it. It's really not that awful. And my doctor was so incredible, really not a horrible experience at all. And luckily from that biopsy, it is just a fibroadenoma. There's no cancer in it as far as they can tell. However, because it's so large, it does need to be removed. So today I will be going in for my surgery for a lumpectomy to get the fibroadenoma removed. I am very nervous, okay? I've had 2 surgeries in the past, but they were both like throat surgeries for like some other weird issue I was having. And the recovery for that was purely like internal, where this is like an external thing, and I've never had a surgery like that before. And this is also at a different location with a different doctor. So I feel like any surgery, I'm gonna be nervous, it is what it is. However, I am sharing this process so that if there is someone else out there who is going through a similar thing, or maybe just something different, or they have a family member or a friend who's going through something, this can serve as some type of educational material to help you through the process, because I'm nervous. I don't know anyone who's had this done before, so I would have liked to have this for me when I was learning about this, so that's why I'm doing it. And also, again, women's health is so incredibly important, especially in our current political climate. We need to focus on women's health and put an emphasis on promoting, respecting, and advancing women's health. So that's what I'm here today to do. And because this is a book channel, not only will I be taking you with me through my surgery, obviously I won't be filming like too much in the hospital because I'll be nervous and I'm not going to be able to whip out my phone to record, but I will be keeping you updated on my healing journey and everything that comes after the surgery. But again, because this is a book channel, I will be reading some books while I recover, because I think it's good to have something to take your mind off of what's happening. So I'll be reading hopefully 2 books during this vlog, because I don't know how long my recovery is going to take or how much energy I'm gonna have to read, but I will be reading 2 books. We'll be reading them both on my Kindle because I feel like that'll be easier for me to hold. I don't know, it's in my left breast, like down here, and I don't know how much pain I'm going to be in, or if like sitting or laying is gonna be more comfortable for me. So I just feel like my Kindle is going to be an easier option because I can hold it one-handed. The first book I will be reading is Tits Up by Sarah Thornton. What sex workers, milk bankers, plastic surgeons, bra designers, and witches tell us about breasts. This just feels very fitting. So both of the books I'll be reading are nonfiction. The second book I will be reading is Boobs Life, How America's Obsession Shaped Me and You by Leslie Lear. Both of these books center around boobs and America's obsession, honestly, with and perception of breasts. So I'm really quite interested in these. I feel like there's probably going to be some overlap between the two, but A Boob's Life I saw when I was on a trip to a public library, and I was like, oh, that looks really interesting. And then I was like, I took a picture of it and saved it. And then when I knew I was having the surgery, I was like, perfect time to be reading this, because how wonderful that they fit together like that. And then Tits Up I found when I was at a Barnes & Noble a little while ago, and I was like, oh, this goes perfectly with that. So both of these books are by women who I believe had breast cancer at one point in their lives, and so they'll be talking about like their experience and then what that experience taught them about breasts and the way they're viewed. So I'm going to be starting with Tits Up because I have it on my Kindle, so I'll be taking this to the hospital with me today because I fear I'm gonna have to be waiting for a long time today. So I'll be reading this to start, and then I wanted to start with A Boob's Life because I found that one first. However, that one they don't have on Libby, they only have it on Hoopla, and you can't download Hoopla books to your Kindle. Hoopla should work on that. So I'll be reading Tits Up today, and I think that we're just going to, I'm very nervous. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just trying to take a deep breath. I'm also very hungry and very tired because my surgery time today is 1:30, which is the latest time I've ever had for a surgery, and I cannot eat after midnight last night. I could not eat anything, and I could only have like a few sips of water, so I'm quite hungry. And because I was obviously nervous for surgery, I didn't sleep super great, so I'm also quite tired. But I really love my doctor, which is super fantastic because I did not pick this doctor. So the process of me finding out that I had a fibroadenoma was that I found the lump, and then I called my gynecologist and scheduled an appointment with a nurse practice or physician's. I scheduled an appointment with a physician's assistant. She, felt it up, did what she had to do, and said because it like moves around within my breast, that's not a sign of like a cancerous lump. So she recommended me to a radiologist just to get a ultrasound of the lump just to make sure. And so I went and I had that ultrasound, and let me tell you, that was honestly the worst part of the process so far because the goo that they put on there, horrible. If you ever had an ultrasound, not pleasant. But they found that it was most likely just a fibroadenoma, but because it's so big, they recommended removal and biopsy. So I was recommended to a general surgeon, and it just so happened that she's incredibly fantastic. I love her so much, which is really, really amazing because they could have just sent me to anyone, but they sent me to her, and she's wonderful. And so she looked at it and she was like, I do think biopsy is what we need. And she said, and because it's so large, I'm probably going to recommend removal no matter what. So then I went and I had the biopsy, and again, not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. They use like the tiniest little needle to inject some like numbing stuff, and they use a bigger needle to go deeper and inject more numbing things, but because you're already kind of numb, you don't feel the bigger needle. And then they just take some little samples, send them to the lab, confirmed fibroadenoma. So then I went back to my surgeon and talked to her just to confirm, and she was like, removal is the best option. And for, a minute I was like, well, it's not cancer, so I don't need to get it removed because I didn't want to have surgery. But she was like, you don't have to, but I would definitely recommend because there is a chance that it could turn into cancer over time or just continue to get bigger. So I talked to my mom and I was like, yeah, removal is probably my best option, even though I don't want to do that. So I got my surgery scheduled, and that's where we're at today. So I'm nervous, but it's for the best, and I'm excited to have it over with. Yeah, truly, I just can't wait to be done. However, the recovery for this is that I have to wear a bra 24/7 for the next 2 weeks just to keep it supported, and then I can't shower for 2 days after, and I just have to, I imagine I'll be icing it because after I had my biopsy, ice really helped with any like discomfort. So I think that I will actually be pretty okay. Again, I've had 2 surgeries, and they were the same 2 surgeries. I just had to do it twice because it didn't work the first time, but this is my first like external surgery where they're like slicing into me. So I am a little nervous, especially because I'm going to, my first 2 surgeries were both at the same hospital, and this one's at a different one. So I am a little nervous. This one's also later in the day, and so I'm already hungry, so that's not great. I am going to give you a little clip of me last night talking about how I was feeling then, and then we'll come back to today. Hey, it is 12:30, almost the night, or I guess the morning before my surgery. I am feeling nervous. I am feeling not well, I have my outfit picked out. I have my sweatshirt here, and then I have my sweatpants and my shirt on. I've had 2 surgeries previously, and the first time I just wore, this is like my surgery outfit. I wear these sweatpants with this matching sweatshirt, but it might be a little bit warmer tomorrow, and I'm going to a different hospital, so I'm also wearing a shirt under just in case. Yeah, I'm feeling nervous. I am feeling not great. I just, it's surgery. No one's ever like excited for it, I don't think, but like it's good that it's happening, and I'm privileged to be able to have this surgery. I just wish I didn't have to, so that's where I'm at with that. I hope I sleep well. I hope I sleep in. I have my book downloaded to my Kindle to read at the hospital tomorrow because I have to get there 2 hours before my procedure, so I'll probably have some time. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, right now I'm vlogging to procrastinate going to sleep because the sooner I go to sleep, the sooner I wake up tomorrow morning and have to have surgery, So yeah, we're not doing super great, but you know, it is what it is, and it'll be over. Tomorrow will be, I want to say the worst of it, but I feel like the recovery is typically worse than the actual surgery, you know, because I'm not awake for that. So we shall see. I will vlog again in the morning, and then probably just a few clips in the hospital because I'll probably be too nervous to be thinking about that. And also sometimes they take my bag, so then I won't have my phone. So we'll have to see. But yeah, that's how I'm feeling. I hope this is helpful for someone, because let me tell you, like, yes, it's nervous, but also knowing that like I have nothing really to worry about until I get home, you know, because putting the IV in, like, it stings a little, but it's fine. And then waking up from the anesthesia, fine. I might be in like a little bit of pain, but the pain meds will probably, I don't know if they'll give me pain meds before I wake up. I don't know. I'm just not imagining that I'll be in too much pain before I get back home, you know? It'll be like the day after. So Sunday, I'll start to feel the effects. But it's just like the waiting and like the unknown of it all is just, you know, not my favorite. No one likes waiting for something that they're not really even looking forward to. So the fact that I have to get there 2 hours ahead of the actual surgery time and then just wait, I don't like that. And when I had my first surgery, I had to wait for like quite a bit of time once I was like in my gown in like the bed, and I had to get up like 4 times to go pee because I was so nervous. The second time, the surgeon was like ahead of schedule, so things moved a lot faster. I don't anticipate that happening again, but it is a Friday again, and my one where it went fast was also a Friday, so maybe I'll get lucky again. But that's my thing. It's just I get nervous and then I really have to pee. Like, it does not matter how much water I have or haven't had, I will have to pee. That's information you probably didn't want to know, but it's gonna happen. So yeah, it is officially midnight, so I cannot have any more water. I can have like a little sip with my pill, but like not really more than that. And then I'm gonna go to sleep and hope that I fall asleep easily and stay asleep. I think that's all I have to say tonight. I'll probably say more in the morning, and that'll be that. But I will talk to you again in the morning. Maybe I'll sleep on it and have like a reckoning of, oh, surgery's good for you. Probably not, but I'll see you in the morning. I need to go to bed. So, still nervous, obviously. I did mention last night, when I get nervous, I really have to pee, which I think is like a normal thing, no matter how much water I've had to drink. So when I had my first surgery, I was up like every 30 minutes having to go to the bathroom. So I imagine the same thing will happen today, but my mom's coming with me. I have my book with me, and I'll be reading while I wait. I'll just be keeping you updated throughout the process. Again, I don't think I'll film a whole lot actually in the hospital, just because that's not going to be my main concern or my main priority, but I might take like a few pictures of me in the hospital bed, giving, you know, a little thumbs up. But we will just see where the day takes us. Because I've had anesthesia before, it tends to make me really nauseous, so I usually just come back and like sleep for a few hours. So you probably won't see me again until I'm waking up from my nap, my post-surgery nap, and then I will give you a full update. But for now, that's where we're at. I thought we could do a little surgery fit check. You're not gonna see my head, but just, so I got this sweat set that I got specifically for my first surgery. It's from Old Navy. It matches, it's cutie. I've got a shirt on underneath. It's my Chaperone Midwest Princess Tour t-shirt, because this is a new place and I don't know what the temperature is gonna be like, and it's supposed to be warmer today. So I want to make sure that I'm able to be comfortable, cold or hot, you know? And then I've got fuzzy socks, and then I'll put on my Crocs because you just want a shoe that's easy to take off. And so that's the outfit. So now I'm going to do a what's in my bag, what I bring to surgery with me. So this is my bag. It goes everywhere. I've got my Calico Critter keychains. Yeah, they come to surgery with me. And then in here, I just have my wallet with my ID because gotta have it. And then like the normal stuff I keep in here. Some tissues, and then most importantly I have, these are called C-band nausea relief. They're just like these little wristbands that have like a little pressure point that goes in here, and I always put these on, or I guess the nurse puts them on me after I wake up from the anesthesia because they really help with my nausea. And then I have lotion that I like put from a bigger container into here, and then some chapstick. So I'm ready for anything. And then my Kindle will go in here so I can read, and my phone. And then I bring water with me for in the car after, just in case I get thirsty. So that's what we've got. My face is red because I'm nervous. We're leaving in about 15 minutes. It feels real now, you know? I started reading my book. I'm quite enjoying it so far, but I'm not going to tell you about it right now because I'm too nervous to talk coherently about it. But my hands are cold, my face is hot and red. I'm out of breath. I'm nervous, but I think that's normal. So that was my fit check. Really for surgery, you don't keep your clothes on very long, so just wear something that's comfortable, you know? Also, advocate for yourself, because the first surgery I had to be completely naked, and that was like, obviously they give you a gown, but it was still like really uncomfortable to like sit there in the hospital bed waiting just fully naked under that gown. And so the second time I had the surgery, I just asked, I was like, would I be able to keep my underwear on? And they were like, oh, for sure. So sometimes all you have to do is ask, and then, you know, you get, because you never know until you ask. I've got my little dog here to keep me company before I leave. My mom is taking me, obviously, because I have anesthesia, so someone has to drive me, but advocate for yourself, okay? Even if it's scary, just ask, because the worst they can say is sorry, no, and they're going to be nice about it. At least they should be. So just ask, you know, because I'm really glad I did, because I got to keep my underwear on for my last surgery and I was significantly more comfortable. So just ask. But I might update you again on the way there, but for now, I will see you once I've been surgerized. Or maybe I'll see you in the hospital. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Again, I've never been to this facility before, so I don't know what to expect. And I'm nervous, as you can tell by my red splotchy face. So expect to see me red in the face for these next few clips, because that's just what happens when I get nervous.
Hey, clearly I'm in the hospital now. I got my IV and I'm in my gown, and I already talked to my surgeon, so now I'm just waiting for them to get the room, and then I'll be ready to go back. I read a little bit of my book, really liking it so far. And I'm just waiting. They gave me a little like anti-nausea pill, which I haven't had before, so we'll see if that helps. But I'm really close to the bathroom, which is nice. You know how I love being close to the bathroom. This hospital, they put me in my own room, like with a door. I got a sink, I got a TV. This is nice. Before I was just like in a little cubby with a curtain. So, slaying. Okay, that's really all I have to say, but it's going good so far. I'm not as nervous as I was before. I will talk to you again when I wake up from my post-surgery nap. Bye. Wish me luck.
I'm back from being surgerized. I'm very tired. I still feel a little out of it. My lovely brother's filming this clip for me. I love him so much. Everything went well. I'm not feeling any pain at the moment because of whatever meds they gave me. I got this lovely little Velcro bra to keep everything held together. I'm probably gonna take a nap. Oh, and my dad picked up some good food for us, a little fish fry. So I'll probably be eating that when I wake up, but everything went well. I'm very, very happy.
Hello. I am awake. It is 1:04 a.m. I should be asleep. However, I did not take a nap when I said I was going to. The last clip you saw, I was still quite a bit out of it, honestly, and I still had all of like the iodine on me. I got most of it. My mom helped me get most of it off with a washcloth, but it's obviously significantly later. I ate. I had a nice big meal. It was so wonderful because, like I mentioned before, my past two surgeries were both throat surgeries, so I wasn't able to eat like regular food after. I had to eat like very soft foods, and it was really hard for me to swallow. So being able to actually eat, because like I obviously had to like fast, couldn't eat before my surgery, so I was really hungry. Getting to eat that meal was so wonderful. Because it's so late, I'm not going to go into details on how the surgery went tonight. I'm going to do that tomorrow, so I am more awake and can give you a better recount of what happened. It was wonderful though, let me tell you. I had a great experience. I'm not in a lot of pain, honestly. They give me a pain medication that I can take. They gave me 20 of them, and I don't think I need that many, but I am going to take one before I go to bed, just because sleeping is my biggest concern. But I spent my evening editing a vlog that for me is going up tomorrow on Saturday. For you, will be up, and you might have already seen it. And then I finished the like introduction of the book I was reading, which is Tits Up. And so I'm really enjoying it so far. Her perspective, I think, is she had cancer and had a double mastectomy and then did a breast reconstruction surgery. And from what I understand, she wanted like an A to a B cup, and she ended up with a D cup. So that, coupled with her cancer and like all the biopsies and stuff she had to do, made her very interested in how society views boobs. And so I'm really interested so far. And also I'm very excited because she is talking about like a trans experience and how trans people get top surgeries and like go on different types of hormones to expand their chest. And I love that experience is being included, because it is, you know, part of like the story of boobs. So I'm happy that it's in there. And I love a nonfiction where like, so it's like part memoir, part nonfiction. So I don't know how I'm gonna be able to rate it, but she's like talking about her own experience and then like interweaving it with the research that she's done. And so the subtitle of like sex workers, milk bankers, plastic surgeons, bra manufacturers, and then witches. There's 5 chapters in the book, and each chapter centers on one of those settings, I guess you can call them, and how they view boobs and breasts and what their thoughts and perspectives are. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really happy to see that she's not centering the trans experience, because that's not her experience, you know, but she is talking about it, and that's something that I'm very happy to see, because I feel like that is like a big part of it. And none of the chapters focus on the trans experience, which is something that I might want to look into on my own after this, but I'm actually quite enjoying this, and I'm starting to appreciate that I'm doing this one first. So also, it was really funny. I was reading this in the hospital, and then the doctor came in, so I had like turned it off, so this is what was being seen, and I just left it like face up on my lap in the bed, and my doctor kept like glancing at it, being like she was curious about it but didn't want to ask. I would have told her about it if she had asked, but that's my experience for today. I'm going to go take my pain medicine just so I can sleep real good. I keep having just like brief shooting pains, almost like stabbing pains, so like, but they go away very quickly and it's not awful. I'm not looking forward to sleeping in this bra. It's not the most comfortable thing ever. I don't think it's really built with bigger chested people in mind, because it has Velcro here and then on the straps, so like you can technically adjust it, but there's not really enough fabric in the front for it to Velcro all the way, so it's kind of like puckering here with the Velcro, and then it like digs in down here, so it's really not the most pleasant thing to wear. But I'm gonna wear it probably tonight and tomorrow for sure, and then I can decide if I want to change into a different bra, which I probably will. But I feel like this one is definitely going to be more comfortable to sleep in than my regular bra, because it has underwire, and I don't want to sleep in that. I'm tired. I'm probably going to sleep in. I'm looking at my bed and I'm like, I cannot wait to get into that thing. I'm so excited. Yeah, but I find it very odd that I did not sleep after, because I was like really tired when I got home, but I just kind of like talked to my family, like walked them through how my surgery went, and the more I talked, the more awake I started to feel, and then I didn't want to take a nap. I was really hungry. I think that was also part of it. I was just very hungry. Again, I will tell you more about how my surgery went tomorrow, and hopefully also read more so then I can tell you more about the book. But I'm really enjoying it so far. It's nice to have a nonfiction. It'll be my first nonfiction of the month, and I try to read 1 nonfiction a month, so I'll get 2 this month. I said month so many times right then, but I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm tired. I will see you in the morning. Thank you for being here. Hello. It is now Saturday. It's actually Saturday at 8:48 p.m. because I was kind of just resting all day. I want to take today to kind of walk you through how the surgery went, and if you're having a similar procedure or even the same procedure, you will know hopefully a little bit more of what to expect. So like I've already mentioned, you cannot eat or drink for 12 hours before your procedure. Now, my procedure was a little different in that, I think mainly because it was so late in the day, my procedure wasn't scheduled till 1:30. I could have up to 13.5 ounces of water 2 hours before my procedure, which I ended up just taking a sip of water with my birth control in the morning, and that was it, because I didn't want to have to pee a whole lot, because when I get nervous, I have to pee. I've said that so many times. In the morning of, I wore my comfortable clothes, went into my surgery center, because it's not really a hospital, it's the same day surgery center. You'll get checked in, you'll want to have your ID with you as well as your insurance card. You might not need it, but it's good to have it with you. And then you'll just get checked in, however that works for you. For me, I'm just gonna walk you through how it went for me, because obviously it's gonna be different for everyone, but I sat in the waiting room for like not even 5 minutes, and then my nurse came and got me and took me back to my room, because I got my own room. So then I went into my room, and they did my blood pressure and like my temperature, and just like asked a whole bunch of questions. And then I had to do a pregnancy test, which I've had to do before all 3 of my surgeries. Like, I think even if you had like your period the end of the day before, I think you still have to do it. It's just kind of how it goes. So you do that. You really just need like a few drops, so if you're worried about that, don't be. It'll be totally fine. Then I came back to my room. It was super nice to have like my own actual room with a door. My previous 2 surgeries that had been a different location, I had like a cubby, I feel like is the best way to explain it, where it's like just divided by curtains and then a curtain in front as well. Having the actual room made it feel a little bit more relaxed. Also, this center was not nearly as busy as the other one that I had been to, because there was like barely anyone going. I don't know if I was just in like a more secluded area, but there was like barely anyone going through the hallways, so it just felt a lot more calm. Also, my mom was able to be in the room with me the whole time, where my previous surgeries, they would take me back, get me all set in my gown with my IV in, and then my mom would come back. This time my mom was with me the whole time, so that also was a little bit helpful. After the pregnancy test, I came back into my room, and they had me change into the gown and the socks. I was allowed to get my underwear on, which is fantastic, because it just makes you feel so much more comfortable. And different this time was that I didn't have the compression stockings to go under my socks. My previous 2 surgeries, it was gown, compression stockings, and then socks. This time it was just the gown and the socks. And because my mom was in the room, she helped me tie it in the back. Piece of advice, I guess, only tie the top tie on the gown, because you're probably going to want to tie them all just for more coverage, but then when you sit down, it's not nearly as comfortable. So just tie the top one, and then it also is just easier for them to like get in and do whatever they need to do. So then I was in my gown, and they put my IV in after that. And I would say the IV is one of the worst parts of the surgery, mainly because you don't remember most of it. The healing is much worse than the actual surgery itself. But putting the IV in, they say big poke and then it goes in, and I've had 3 surgeries now, and all 3 of the nurses who put in my IVs were super fantastic and very good at it, because I mean, that's their job. I hope that they are. But it really does not hurt. It sometimes is uncomfortable when it's like in there, because you can feel it under your skin, and so it just is uncomfortable, but that feeling goes away quite soon. And then I just kind of waited. I read a little bit of my book, and then at that point the anesthesiologist came in, and I have now had 3 anesthesiologists, and I've come to the conclusion that all anesthesiologists are just weird, freaky men. None of them have had very good bedside manners. They kind of just like ask a whole lot of questions and stare at you and wait for you to ask questions. And it might feel intimidating, but ask questions if you have them. So for me, I have a history of getting really nauseous after anesthesia. So I have these like little compression bands, I guess, that go on my wrists that I wear when I get like car sick. So I always make sure that I have those for the post-anesthesia recovery area. So I told him about those, made that aware. And then he had asked if I'd ever done the patch after surgery, because they can put this little patch on you that is supposed to help with nausea, and you can wear it for up to 3 days. And I did have that for my last surgery, but it made me have the worst headache of my life. So I didn't want that again. So he actually ordered me an anti-nausea pill that I was able to take before I went into surgery with a little sip of water, and that little sip of water was so wonderful. So then he left, the nurses left. I waited for my pill to be delivered. I got to take that with the tiniest little sip of warm water from a styrofoam cup, but it was the best sip of water I've ever had. And then my doctor came in and she examined my breast again, just to like, make sure everything was still how it was when last time she had seen me. She wrote her initials on my boob just to make sure that that was the right side. And she told me we're just waiting for the room to be flipped, and then we're all set for you. And then a different nurse came in, and she just kind of talked to me about the anesthesia, like walked me through the process again. That is when she hooked me up to my IV for some like liquids, I guess. I don't really know exactly what it was. It's probably just like saline, but just to make sure that it flows good. And it was cold. The first like liquid that they put in through there is always so cold. So you will be cold a little bit, but totally fine. Another nurse came in. He was like, I'll be there with you as well. We're gonna just, they asked several times which side I was having the lumpectomy on, which is just to make sure that like they know and that I know we're all on the same page. And at this point, I double checked and just clarified that I would be able to get a picture of my lump once it came, because they have technology where they can take a picture of it once they remove it in the operating room and then put it into my like chart and things. So I wanted that, and so he went and got like a hospital phone so that he'd be able to take the picture. And then the other nurse who was in there asked if I wanted some medication to take the edge off, and I said sure. And I will say that's another one of the bad parts of surgery, is that part stings. When they put that first medicine in to just kind of like take the edge off, it stings and you can like feel it going in, and it's unpleasant for only about like 30 seconds, and then you're just like, oh, okay. So that's when my mom said, well, then they had to put on like a hairnet type thing, and I'll include a picture of me in that hairnet here if my mom really wanted that picture. And then my mom said goodbye and said, I'll see you on the other side. And the doctor said, everything's gonna go great, no worries. And they started wheeling me back to the operating room. Now, from here on, I don't really remember a whole lot of it, but they wheel you back. The breeze gets you. It feels quite nice. Because they have that medicine going in, you really don't feel like anything. You're not like fully there. And then the next worst part of surgery comes, at least for me. It's just like an awkward, embarrassing part. When they get you into the operating room, you have to kind of like jump from like your surgery bed into like the actual like surgery table, and that's just silly and not super fun. So then they get you there, they get you all set up. This time, because I didn't have the compression stockings, they had these like velcro things that went around my legs just to help so that you don't get blood clots during surgery. And then they like put my arms out, made sure that I was comfortable and that I had my blanket on, and then double check that it was the left side. And then they put the mask on and we're just like, oh, just like breathe. It smells like plasticky, like a beach ball almost. They say like just keep breathing, and then it'll start to sting a little bit. Again, not super uncomfortable, but like that's how you know the anesthesia is coming in. And then I woke up back in my room. Normally, my past 2 surgeries, I had woken up in the post-anesthesia care unit, or the PACU, and I remember being there for like a little while. This surgery, I don't know if it's because they gave me pain medicine along with the anesthesia, but I do not remember getting wheeled from the PACU back to my room. So there's that. I remember the nurse who was there. The nurses in the PACU have always been like the nicest nurses. Not that any of the nurses were mean, but like for some reason they were just like the nicest. The anesthesia tends to make me like very lovey-dovey, very sentimental. So I'm just like always like complimenting people and telling them that they deserve raises, and just that's how I get on anesthesia. But then I woke up back in my room, and by the time I was like even fully aware that I was like there, my mom was already coming back in, so that was nice. And then they brought me water and some Lorna Doone cookies, and I just remember being really cold. Post anesthesia, you tend to get cold, so they brought me in a nice warm blanket and put that right against me. And then my mom helped me drink my water, and for some reason I just kept thinking that drinking the water made me feel like a crocodile, so that was really something. Then while I was still kind of hazy a little, my like post-operation nurse took off, they put these like little stickers on you that attach to the cords to get like your EKG and everything while you're in surgery. And my past 2 surgeries, they've sent me home with those still on, and they hurt to take off because the adhesive is so sticky, and then it leaves like a sticky residue on you, and that hurts to take off too. But this nurse, she took them off for me before I left because I was still kind of out of it. I didn't feel them being taken off. And then she also took out but then I got to drink my water and eat my cookies, wait till I fully woke up. Then my mom helped me get dressed, and then the transport, they call it, comes to your room with a wheelchair to then take you back down to get in your car. And then I came home. I just remember when I was waiting in the lobby for my mom to pull up the car, I remember asking the nurse if we could wait outside because it was like a really nice day. And we got out there, and I just felt the breeze hit me and like the sun. I felt like I was photosynthesizing. Like being outside had never felt so amazing before. And then we got home, my mom walked me inside, and I just remember the breeze feeling so amazing. And then when I got back in to my house, I remember feeling a little nauseous and like I might throw up. I feel nauseous a lot, but I don't ever really throw up. I just kind of figured it was because I hadn't eaten anything, and then I finally ate those cookies and it just wasn't like sitting well with me. But then I got in my bed, and I thought I was going to take a nap because I felt a little tired, but I ended up just kind of talking to my family for a few hours, and then I felt more awake. And then my dad had got us a fish fry, and so I went out and I ate, and it was so nice after surgery to actually be able to eat because, again, my past 2 surgeries were throat surgeries, so I could only eat like soft foods, and it was really hard for me to swallow. So being able to actually eat afterwards, super wonderful. And then I kind of just lounged the rest of the day, read some of my book last night, and it was a good night. Then I think I mentioned in my clip last night that I was going to take one of my pain pills before bed, and I did end up doing that, and I actually slept really well. I found that it was actually easier to sleep on the side where the incision was made, because when I laid the other way, it felt like it was like being pulled down, and that didn't feel good. But I went to bed at like 1:30 just because I feel like I got the best sleep of my life under that anesthesia, so I wasn't super tired. Went to bed at like 1:30, woke up around 11, and I slept really well. And then today I haven't been in a whole lot of pain. I was really hungry, I think because I barely ate anything yesterday. Like the fish fry was the only thing that I ate, so I was really hungry, but I wasn't in a whole lot of pain. Now it's like, it's hard to explain the pain, but it's almost like a dull throbbing every once in a while. So I've just been taking Tylenol for that. So I took Tylenol twice today. But other than that, I've been doing really well. I wrote some of a paper that I've been working on today. I emailed my one advisor for my grad school stuff, read some of my book. It's been a really great day, honestly. I feel like I handle external pain a lot better than I do internal pain. So like with my throat surgeries, the recovery from that was rough because like I couldn't really talk, I couldn't really swallow, eating was a pain. Where this, it's like I take some Tylenol and I feel so much better like almost immediately. So it's just been a lot of like sitting around. I can't lift anything over 15 pounds. My little dog is more than 15 pounds, so that's been rough, but just relying on my family for help when I need it and just taking things easy, because especially with this, it feels like, oh, well, like I can still, you know, do what I need to, but I also don't want to like overexert myself. So today I had my mom help me get more of the iodine, like the orange stuff off, and some of like the sticky residue that I had, because there was one that was like back here right under the bra, and it was like sticking to it and pinching, and that didn't feel good, but she helped me get that off. And we used a little soap, the Gold Dial soap. That is one of my biggest recommendations for this, because I can't shower for 2 days after, and I have to wear a bra 24/7 for the next 2 weeks. So just being able to like get rubbed down with a little bit of soap and water just felt like so good. It was like rejuvenating. So that was nice, but I've really just been relaxing. Today's actually been a pretty good day. I have read some more of my book. I'm now like 50% through of the first chapter, and I'm really enjoying it. So the first chapter is about sex workers, and the author is doing a lot of really good work interviewing a lot of different types of sex workers, so like strippers and burlesque dancers and women who did like other types of dancing and things. So I feel like there's been a lot happening here, but I'm really enjoying it. I'll probably have more to say once this chapter is over, but I'm really enjoying it so far. And honestly, it's been really fun to read while having like my own boob things going on, reading about this. Very interesting. So yeah, I'll probably for the rest of the evening just keep reading, probably watch some YouTube. I think the biggest thing to do after surgery is just to take it slow. Even if it feels like you can bounce right back and be fine, you can't. Take it slow. Yeah, I'm not in as much pain nearly as I thought I'd be, so that's been really nice. But again, just taking it slow, not overexerting myself. Everything is going pretty well for me, honestly. I do have a follow-up already scheduled for April 3rd, I believe, just to make sure that everything went well. And so that's really all I have to share with you. I'll probably share more if I finish chapter 1 this evening, but I'm really enjoying this so far. That's where we're at for today. I might update you again before I go to sleep, just how I'm feeling if I decide to take another pill before I go to sleep. But yeah, honestly, it's been really nice. Now, I have gotten a few times like hot and shivery at the same time, which is a little concerning, but I usually just like take my sweatshirt off and then I'm fine. So that's why I'm under the blanket right now. He's also helping to keep me warm, but yeah, I don't know. I'm having a much better time recovering from this surgery than I did my 2 previous throat surgeries. Truly, I feel like if the recovery is what you're worried about, like it's obviously not ideal, but it's not nearly as horrible as I thought it was going to be, because I originally did not want to have this surgery because of the recovery. But this has been, I know it's only day 1, but so far we're doing pretty good. So his name is Cheerio. He is going to be sleeping with me tonight, and that will be an adventure because he loves to like cuddle up with you, and sometimes he like steps on my boob, and like that hurts on a good day. So I'm a little concerned about that, but look at him. Otherwise, things are going pretty well. I mean, I've still been able to be productive, mostly because it's like a lot of computer work that I've been doing, but feeling good. I think also making it so that I feel productive, even just like I sent an email, I wrote like 2 paragraphs for a paper, and I read some of my book. Those even just like few things helped it so that I didn't feel like I was just wasting the day away, which like is totally fine if that's what you need to do, because like you're recovering from a surgery, you know, it's totally fine if that's what you need to do. Just for me, it tends to make me feel better if I can be a little bit productive. So that's really all I have to say for now. I will continue to update you probably throughout the week, just because I don't know how long the recovery is going to take, but we shall see. I'll probably have another big update after I shower Monday night, because then I'll fully be able to see more, like I'll take off the gauze and everything then, so I'll be able to see really what's going on under there. But that's all I have to share with you for right now, but I will probably see you again before I go to bed. So thank you for watching, and thank you for caring. I really hope this is helpful to someone. Good morning. I am coming at you today looking and feeling rough. So last night I ended up just reading a little bit more, and then I did take one of my pain pills before I went to sleep, and I slept horribly. It was super windy last night, and we live in an old house, and so whenever it's windy, the door like rattles and it sounds like someone's trying to open it, so that kept me up. And then also I was just so hot and sweaty and like could not get comfortable. I was in pain, I was hot, I was sweaty, I felt gross. And to make matters worse, tonight I have to stay up until midnight to register for my fall classes, and so I was like putting a lot of pressure on myself of like I need to sleep good so that I can stay up to be able to register, which didn't work. I ended up not sleeping well, so I'm gonna have to take a nap today. But I'm in a moderate amount of pain, not enough to take a pain pill again, but I'll probably take some Tylenol. That's what I've been taking in between taking the like pain pills, because I don't want to take a whole bunch of them. So I'll probably take some Tylenol. And today I need to finish my paper that I'm working on, and that's really the only thing I have to do today, other than register for my classes, which I'm not looking forward to, but is what it is. Not feeling super great today. This bra that they gave me has like, it's mostly just like Velcro, and these big chunks of Velcro kind of like dig in when you lay on it, so it's just not the most comfortable. But I like how much support it gives me, because my only other option would be like just like this like stretchy bra that I have, but it has no support, and I don't think that's, I just whacked myself. I don't think that's what I want, and I also don't want to have to sleep in my underwire bra, so we're sticking with this. It's going. Yesterday was deceptively easy. I feel like today is going to be a worse day for me, but it is only 11:34, so the day has time to turn around. But just thought I'd give you a little update. I'll probably update you on my book later as well, since I did finish chapter 1 last night, but for now I'm gonna go get breakfast because I'm also incredibly hungry. So I'm gonna eat and then work on my paper, and then maybe update you after that, but not doing super great right now. It is significantly later. As you can imagine, based on my overall demeanor earlier today, I was not having a good time. So I ended up eating breakfast after that. I had a few French toast sticks, and I just felt bad, like off, horrible, like shaky in my body. Truly, The biggest thing after surgery is that you need to get enough rest because your body has just been through like a traumatic event. At least that's how your body processes it. And so you need rest to be able to heal yourself from the inside out. And I did not get enough sleep last night. So I ate breakfast and I ended up taking a nap. So I woke up at around like 2:30 and I just kind of sat, you know, and then I got to the point where I was like so hungry that I was nauseous, which happens to me quite frequently but is worse when I have not eaten because of surgery. Yeah, right. So things were just compounding to make it worse, but then we ended up getting pizza, and pizza is like a healing food, truly. So I ate pizza, and then I ended up coming back in here, taking some to my room, taking some more Tylenol because Tylenol's really been pushing me through. And then I finished my paper, and that it was just like, I know this is like a surgery recovery vlog and not so much like a grad school vlog, but like I'm in grad school at the same time as I'm having surgery, so it's just like a lot of things compiling together, and then there's a lot on my plate at the moment, which is not helpful. But I ended up finishing my paper. Now, is it twice as long as it's supposed to be? Yes. Is that a problem for tomorrow? Also yes. But it's done. All of the information I need is in there, and that just feels like a weight off my shoulders. So now I feel like I can finally actually fully relax, which is, you know, what I need. So I'm doing a lot better now. I have not read anything today. Which is like totally fine because truly I just need to like rest. So what I'm doing now is I made myself a little queue on YouTube to catch up on all the videos I missed for the past 3 days. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to watch these videos and I am going to relax. And I'm going to rest my body, especially because I have to stay up to midnight tonight to register for my classes. I'm just going to take it slow. I'm probably going to get some popcorn later because delicious. And I am just going to take it slow. This is my advice for you. If you're having any kind of surgery, take it slow. It's gonna feel like you want to just get things done because like you have the time to do it. Don't let your body rest, let yourself heal. You need the rest. And this is a message for myself as much as it is for anyone else. I'm just going to be relaxing, taking my time, taking things slow, and that's how the rest of my night is gonna go. I don't know if I'll update you again tonight just because I don't know how much I'll really have to say, but I will see you again tomorrow morning. Hello, brief update. It is now 11:06 p.m. so I still have about an hour before I can register for classes and then go to bed. But I did finish the next chapter in Tits Up, which was about milk bankers. So like women who donate their breast milk to other mothers and parents who need it for their children, and also just like for NICUs and other places that need breast milk. And it was fascinating. Because I have no desire to birth a child of my own, I've never really thought about like lactation and breastfeeding or anything like that because I simply have never needed to, but there is so much that goes into it, and like, oh my god, it sounds horrible. The author interviewed like so many different women who had so many different experiences. Like she interviewed one mother who like lost her child but then was still like producing milk, so she was like donating it for other parents who need it for their children. And I was just like, that is just crazy to me. Like the way that the female body works to produce nutrition for babies is just crazy. There was actually a quote: clinical research shows that oxytocin is released in a lactator's bloodstream as many as 14 times during a single breast pumping session. In addition, other studies find that women who do not breastfeed are more likely to have postpartum mood disorders. That's crazy. 14 times oxytocin can be released. That's crazy to me. I did a project in my undergrad about postpartum depression, and this was not something that we found for that research, so that's crazy. It feels like women are being punished for not being able to carry out like an essential function, because not all women want to breastfeed. Like it's not something that everyone wants. I've seen a lot of TikToks, interestingly, about women just being like touched out, I think is like the first thing they use, where like their children are just like always on them and they just need to reclaim some bodily autonomy from their own children, because once you give birth, your body is like not your own. It's like exists for your children, and that feels especially true for like women who breastfeed. So whoa, I did not want any of that. But then also there was another quote that just kind of ended the chapter that I really enjoyed. In these donor stories, breasts are not passive objects or sexy ornaments, but essential workers improving community health. And I just really love that, because again, I never thought about breastfeeding, not in any capacity like this at least. So it was really fascinating to read all that. I feel like throughout this whole process of me having like finding the lump, the biopsy, the surgery, I've just become so aware of my boobs. And if you're a freak who's just here to see a woman talk about her boobs, go away. This is not the space for you. But I have just become like so aware of my own breast in a way that I don't enjoy, because like I have kind of always had a larger chest, and so it just was like kind of always part of me until I had to like really think about it. And then I was like, there are a lot of things that I either can or can't because of my chest. Like, I don't really know how to explain it, but I've just become so aware of my boobs and I don't really like it, you know? Like, especially with like being in pain, I'm just like constantly aware of how they feel on my chest. And it's not really pleasant. Like, I can't sit with my knees like pulled into my chest because it like hurts on a good day. So it's just really fascinating how much my boobs impact my daily life, honestly. And now like reading about it, I'm like, wow, like people think about my boobs a lot more than I think about my boobs, you know? So just very fascinating. Those are really my thoughts on that, but it's just been very interesting. I am very curious to see how I feel tomorrow once I am able to shower. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. I'm really enjoying this book. The next chapter that I'm gonna read, I think, is about treasured chests. So I believe this chapter is about plastic surgery and plastic surgeons. So interested to see what they have to say here. 29% of the way through. I'm really enjoying this so far. I don't know that I'll want to read a boobs like the second book I had planned to read, just because I feel like this is like really doing it for me here. I'm really enjoying this. It's really making me think a lot about my own boobs in a way that I never had before. And circling back, truly, everyone else thinks about my boobs so much more than I do. Like, that's crazy to me, because I never really thought about them before this. And then like even just talking to my doctors, they were like, so like, did you notice the lump when it was like smaller? I was like, no, because I don't really pay a lot of attention to my boobs. I don't, because to me they're just like part of me and not really something. It's like if you woke up every day and were like super invested in your hands, you know, like they're just kind of, maybe hands aren't like the best, but like your forearm, okay, let's say that. You don't wake up every day and you like inspect it and you're like, ah yes, that's my arm. Which is, you go about your life and like that's your arm. And I think that there could be a bigger discussion here about like disability, because like people who, this is a horrible analogy that I'm making, but people who don't have arms don't take that for granted as much, where like I took my boobs and how they enabled me to move for granted when I didn't have to worry about like an incision being made on it, where now every movement that I make with my left arm, I'm like, ouch, that pulls on my boob. Like I can't lift my arm all the way up. My shoulder is really stiff because I'm trying not to move. Like everything on the whole left side of my body is just like all connected to that. And I never pay that much attention to it. It's like when you get sick and then you realize that you've been taking breathing for granted until you can't do it all the way, you know? So that's just kind of how it feels. I'm just like too aware of my own body and I don't like it, but that's where we're at with that. And then another thing, like I just mentioned, my shoulder is so tight and tense because I'm like not moving this whole side of my body because it hurts. So then my shoulder is getting like all knotted up and it hurts so bad. But that's where we're at for now. I'll probably update you one final time before I go to sleep. Just wanted to let you know that I did finish that chapter of the book. Really enjoying it. It's making me think a lot, and that's what I wanted, so glad I can share that with you. So I will see you again before I go to sleep. Ignore the red mark on my cheek. It's from the way I was sitting, but it's now like 12:10. I got into the 4 classes I was trying to get into, so yay, go me. Also, in the time that I was waiting, I revised the paper I was working on because it was 6 pages and it needs to be 3. I got it down to 4 because I just like with the amount of stuff that needed to be included in the paper, I don't know how it's only supposed to be 3 pages, but that is not your problem. I am going to take another pain pill before I go to sleep because that's been my routine, and then I'm going to sleep. And I'm not setting my alarm for the morning because I need to sleep. So I'm just gonna let myself sleep in as long as I need to. This coming week in grad school, I don't have, this paper is due on Monday, and then I don't have anything else due in that class this week. And in my other class, we're working on like a more long-term project, so I don't have anything due this coming week, which is nice. I do need to go to sleep, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So I will see you in the morning. Goodbye. Good morning. I am in a good mood today. I slept really well, like genuinely incredibly well. It is 11:23. I just woke up about 30 minutes ago. Emailed my professor about my paper, feeling good. The only issue I don't know if you'll be able to tell, I have a rash. Yeah, you can see it. So it doesn't itch or like burn or anything, but it's very textured and it looks concerning. So that's fun. I had it yesterday too, but it looks significantly worse today. Like yesterday you would have to like get close to see it. Today you can see it. So I don't really know what's going on there, and I'm definitely a little concerned about that, but today is shower day. Yes, I get to shower. I have never been so excited to take a shower before. I feel so greasy, goopy, gross, and I'm so excited to be clean, okay? I'm waiting till my mom gets home just in case I need any help, because I don't know, I really want to wash my hair, but I don't know that I'll be able to, you know. So waiting for my mom to get home, but really looking forward to that. Today, minimal pain. Really, I feel like it's not so much pain that I'm feeling, it's just like discomfort. because it doesn't hurt, it just feels wrong, if that makes sense. Like, I don't feel like ouch, I feel like, oh, what is that, if that makes any sense at all. So that's kind of where I'm at. It doesn't, like, I can, and it doesn't hurt, so I mean that's a good thing, but the rash is really freaking me out because what is that? So that's where I'm at currently, but I think I'll be okay, you know, because it doesn't itch or anything, so I think it'll be fine. And once I shower, I feel like that should also help, or maybe it'll make it worse, but I think it'll help. And so today I'm just going to be taking it slow again. I need to submit my paper today, and then I have like some readings and stuff I need to do for grad school, as last week was technically my spring break, but because I was working on that paper, it wasn't really like it, so now we're like fully getting back into it. But I'll just be taking it slow, you know, just chilling, minding my business, panicking about this rash, but I'll be all right. My grandma used to be a nurse, so, and I think she like keeps up with her training. Go for her. I'm gonna send her a picture and see what she has to say, because she might be like, girl, you're fine. Because I'm sure it's fine, it's just I don't like it, you know, it's a little freaky. So, but I'll be okay. So I will keep you updated throughout the day. Probably not super frequently, just because this is like a recovery vlog and not so much like a grad school vlog. I will update you again once I hear from my grandma about my rash, and if I read any more today. Otherwise, I'll just check in and be like, pain, ouchie, or doing good, continuing on. So I will see you later. Hello, it is 8:17 p.m. I'm exhausted. I don't know if you can tell, I took my shower. Here's what had happened, right? My rash, oh, you can't really see it in this lighting. I can still feel it though, it's still very much there. Confirmed contact dermatitis. So probably just from the like iodine, which is like the orange stuff they put on you just to like clean you off, and then all like the sticker residue and like scrubbing that off. I have really sensitive skin. That's not surprising that that happened. It looks alarming, but it doesn't really feel like physically, like to the touch it feels bad, but like just as it is, I don't really feel it, so it's fine. It'll go away on its own. But then I was talking to my mom, and she reminded me that if I were to take my pain pill before my shower, I wouldn't be able to take it again before I go to sleep, because you take them every 6 hours. So I said, I would rather have it before I go to sleep, you know? So I took 2 Tylenol instead, and I showered, and it was not the rejuvenating experience that I wanted it to be. Gravity, not my friend. It hurt, okay? It didn't hurt nearly as bad as I thought it was going to, but I am now in the most pain that I've been in the whole weekend. So that's something. It felt good to get clean though. Let me be so honest with you. Like, I feel so much better. I'm just exhausted and in pain. But I kind of figured that would happen, and I was even telling my mom, I was like, I would rather be like fully clean and in pain than feel like I need to shower again, not be in pain. You know, like I wanted to be clean. And so I do. She helped me dry my hair after. Shout out to my mom, she's the best. I feel better, I do. My hair isn't greasy anymore. I feel more put together. I feel like tomorrow is gonna be a really good day when I wake up and I'm clean. And on top of that, my bedding is getting washed. Shout out to my dad. My sheets, my pillowcase, and my comforter are all getting washed, so I can get my clean self into my clean bed. How wonderful. Yeah, this just like whole area just does not feel good. Like, moving at all really feels very awful. So I feel better because I'm clean, but I feel worse because I'm in pain. Which, again, I figured that was gonna happen, and I'm kind of okay with it, because if this is the most pain that I'll be in the whole time, I'm kind of okay with that. The worst part was that there was like a piece of like gauze over the like whole incision area, and my mom and I were both under the assumption that it was just like the bra was just holding it in place. There was like medical tape holding it in, and we had to rip that off. That did not feel like, it didn't hurt, but it just really didn't feel good. And like all the orange stuff in there, it looks worse than it feels. But I couldn't see an incision or anything, which is good because I didn't really want to see it, because like there's still the steri strips and everything there. Shower felt so good. I just know that waking up tomorrow morning, I'm going to feel so much better. Like, I'll have clean hair and a clean bed, new pajamas that have not touched hospital air. So I'm going to sit in my chair and eat popcorn again. Popcorn is like my comfort meal. So that's what I'm gonna do, because I'm just exhausted. So I'm gonna do that. I got my paper submitted, and then I made a to-do list of the other things I need to do this week, and then didn't do any of them. And I was kind of beating myself up over that, because I feel like I need to be more productive than I am, but also my body is telling me that it needs a break and needs rest to fully heal itself. So I'm working on being okay with it. I'm gonna get my popcorn, and then that'll be my evening. Good morning. I feel so good today. I slept wonderfully. Having clean hair and a clean self and clean bedding does wonders for the soul, let me tell you. But no, I slept really well, honestly. I felt like I could have kept sleeping, but I also felt like, no, I could get up now and continue on with my day and be fine, which is what I've been wanting. So I do think I'll still probably feel like quite tired throughout the week. Just, I think that's normal. So I'm gonna take things kind of slow while still making progress towards getting things done. But I feel so good being clean. You don't understand. As you just saw, I have been reading. So I'm now on the chapter about plastic surgeons, and it's very interesting. I would like to know how she was able to secure some of the interviews that she did, because right now she's interviewing a plastic surgeon while she is actively performing a surgery. So she's like in the operation room with them and like able to ask them questions while they work. And first of all, making for a really amazing chapter. I'm really enjoying reading it, but I really wonder what kind of strings she had to pull to be able to get in there, right? The way that they are moving this prone woman, the woman who's like being surgerized, the way they're just moving her around, gagged. They were talking about how they have like, they taped her eyes shut and they have like a, like the surgical like paper like over her face so they don't have to like see her face. And then because they're doing like a breast reconstruction, they like have her laying down, but then they sit her up to make sure that gravity isn't affecting it. And I'm like, they're just flinging this woman all around. Like, you really have no idea what happens to you during surgery. And that's horrifying, honestly. And it just made me think like, well, what happened to me when I was in there? Because like I woke up and I had like sticker residue on my thigh and I was like, I don't remember them putting anything there, but evidently they did. So, and like this bra that I had on, I woke up with this on. They put that on, right? It's just like, it's kind of freaky because you really have no control over what goes on. So you gotta hope that you have a good nurse in there watching out for you. Update on my rash. It's definitely still here, but it is fading a little bit. Like, cause it was really bad on my shoulder over here and now it's not nearly as bad. So it'll probably take like a week for it to fully go away, but it's not nearly as bad as it was yesterday. Good on that front. Now I wanna talk about what I just read because it was talking about feminist views of like boob jobs and like cosmetic surgeries. And this is something that I actually talked a lot about in my undergrad. We had several classes, pretty much all of my classes. I was a women's and gender studies major, so I feel like that gives you some insight here. And most of our classes are discussion based, where like we read something and then we just discuss, and then it kind of like deepens our understanding of what we read and other people's perspectives on it. We talked a decent amount about like boob jobs, and one of my like big like senior projects was about choice feminism, which is the idea that as long as a woman is making a choice, that is her feminism, and because she's choosing, she is a feminist. And I think that that a lot of times gets applied to plastic surgery because it's, well, she's choosing to do that, so that means that she's a feminist because she's making a choice about her body. And yes, because having the choice to change things about your body and in that way bodily autonomy is a feminist ideal. Being a woman and being able to choose, I don't like the way my body looks, I want to change it, and then being able to go change it is a feminist notion. However, where I think we run into a little issue is, are women changing their bodies because they aren't happy with it or because society has told them that they can't be happy with their bodies, right? Because a lot of times, the chapter even mentions like plastic surgeons see changes in the types of surgeries they're performing as like Western beauty standards change and like different like media change. There was a quote that, the quote said, "A recent survey of women from 40 nations found that breast size dissatisfaction increased with Western media exposure. It also found that discontent with one's chest was higher among less financially secure women." So the more you consume content, specifically Western content, the more you feel dissatisfaction within yourself. And I think that that's exactly what I'm trying to say here is, yes, you're making that choice for yourself. However, we need to think about the context of that choice. This is something that I talk a lot about in the project that I did, but like, yes, you're making a choice, but what is leading you to make that choice? Because like me, I've never had a problem with my boobs before, but if someone came up to me and was like, ew, gross, I would obviously feel a little like, oh, all right, you know? So it's just a like, yes, I'm making the choice, but what is leading me to make that choice? Personally, my belief is if women want to do things with their body and they have the means and the accessibility to do so, go for it. Like, who am I to tell you not to, you know? But I also just wish that women didn't feel like they needed to have reconstructive surgeries in order to feel desirable. So I am really enjoying this chapter so far. Also, it mentioned a lot of how the majority of plastic surgeons are men, but the majority of patients of plastic surgery, like recipients of the surgeries, are women. And it just made me think like, men are the gatekeepers of beauty standards, right? Because if you are going to get any type of boob surgery, you are most likely going to have a male surgeon. And like we've seen with so many examples in this book, those surgeons, like, are the woman who's writing the book, she wanted between an A and a B cup for her reconstructive surgery, and she ended up with double D's because the surgeon figured that she'd be happier with that. So completely ignored what she wanted and gave her what he thought she would want. Now, sir, you yourself have never had to carry around boobs. You don't know what it's like. So it's just like, it's so frustrating because personally, if I was going to have any type of reconstructive surgery or any type of plastic surgery, especially on my boobs, I would go to a woman, knowing that she knows at least a little bit more about what it's like to have boobs, not just what it's like to look at them and go, awooga, you know? Sorry, that was hilarious. But I just, yeah, it's really making me think. And yeah, it's just, you know, it's really something. That's where we're at today. I do have a little bit of like actual schoolwork I need to do, but I'm really enjoying this chapter, so I kind of just want to finish it. But I need to watch my lectures today, and I need to just take things slow because especially after last night with my shower, I'm feeling more pain today than I have the past few days, mostly like in my armpit, and I think that's just from using my arm in the way that I was, but I think we'll be okay because like I'm feeling better. I have found if you sleep with stuffed animals, take one and kind of wedge it under you, or if you have like a body pillow or just like an extra pillow. I've been wedging my stuffed animals like under my boob and then like laying on that so that they're just like not flopping fully to the bed. This might be a little TMI for you, but I mean, hey, I'm hopeful that this is helping someone so that they're kind of like supporting my breast, and then I can still like cuddle with them, you know, because I sleep with stuffed animals. Hot girls sleep with stuffed animals. Yeah, you heard it here first. But that under the boob really just provides an extra level of support and like cushion, and that's been really, really lovely. So that's my tip. I will probably see you again once I finish this chapter because I just know I'm gonna have more thoughts. My feminist background is really popping off here. I am going to get some work done this morning because I'm finally feeling awake and alive enough to actually get things done. So go me. I'm going to capitalize on that, but not too much. You know, we're gonna work, but we're not gonna overwork. Yes, there we go. I've eaten breakfast. I watched all my lectures, feeling real good. I did like the screen time disable thingy, so I couldn't get on my phone to like all my apps and things until 12. So I got all my work done, and that's good because I feel like I'm gonna need to take a nap today. I am in the most pain that I've been in since my surgery, and I think it really has to do with taking that shower. And like, I don't regret it at all. I feel so much better, and I'm wearing it for now because I'm about to film a video. But genuinely, I do not regret taking that shower. I feel so much better. It's just I am in a little bit of pain, mostly in like my armpit, so like down through here, because like my lump was like on the outside, so through here is just like sore, almost like if you were to have like done like an upper body workout, like that type of like muscular soreness. So I took some Tylenol, and now I'm just gonna like kind of take it slow. The video I'm filming is just like a little sit down casual thing. But yeah, I'm really proud of myself for getting all that work done. I feel invigorated while also being exhausted. So really interesting mix of feelings that I'm having. I feel good because I'm clean and also because I've gotten work done, but then also just like so bodily tired. So that's where I'm at today. I do plan on finishing that chapter in my book because I'm really enjoying it. So I feel like because I'm gonna have less and more infrequent updates about how I'm feeling, I'm gonna be doing more updates about what I'm reading. So we'll see how that goes. I plan on continuing this vlog through Friday because that'll be a full week of recovery, so we can like fully see from there. I will just keep you updated if things change. Really the only change I imagine we'd have at this point is more or less pain, right? Because I don't know what else there would be. On April 3rd, I do have my follow-up where if the steri strips are still on, then my doctor would take them off, but like that's several weeks away, and I'm not gonna continue this vlog that whole time, right? I do feel like oh my god, happy Sunrise on the Reaping release day. How exciting. My Libby holds for the audiobook and the ebook came in today. I was first in line, go me. I'm feeling really good today though. Other than like my slight soreness, I'm feeling invigorated, truly, I think is the best word. I'm happy that it's done, and like this is the second surgery I've had this year already, and we're only in March. So I'm just ready for like all my medical stuff to be done. Like this marks the end for me, so that's pretty exciting. But that's really my only update for you now, and I will check in with you probably once I have more to say about my book. Update. I had gone on a little walk. My brother and I, he's home for spring break. We took the dog out for a walk, and I said, I'll go too. I need some fresh air. So I did get a little walk in. It didn't particularly, I had to walk really slowly so as to prevent any jostling, but the fresh air was really nice. I have since eaten lunch, and now I have the ice pack in because I'm just not doing super great. Like it feels sore. and uncomfortable. And I also changed back into my pajamas because the buttons on that other shirt were tickling my rash. And that is not something that I ever want to experience. Tickling my rash. I'm going through it. I feel very tired. That's my update as of now. Pain. And I could take more Advil, but I want to see if the ice pack seems to be helping. And I'll probably end up taking more Advil anyway, but that's where I'm at. The rash is really the worst part at the moment, and then like the armpit soreness. I don't know if maybe I overdid it the first 2 days, and that's why I'm now feeling so much, because like I was fine on like the armpit end of it yesterday and the day before, but now I'm like, ugh, I feel so sore. So I'm wondering if I overdid it, because I wasn't really in a whole lot of pain. So I was like, oh yeah, I can still do things. Should not have done those things. So I'll keep you updated, but oh my god, exciting news. My Libby hold for Sunrise on the Reaping, the ebook and the audiobook came in. I was first in line. Didn't expect that, so I have this now. So that's exciting. I want to finish at least through the chapter of Tits Up first before I get to that. So that's where I'm at. I will keep you updated, but I think I'm now just gonna sit here and watch some YouTube and heal. Hello. I did not check in with you last night because I was having a rough night, okay? I did end up finishing my book, and we will talk about that later. However, some things have occurred. First and foremost, last night was the most pain I've been in so far. I'm not really sure what happened, but I woke up at like 3 in the morning, and it was just like weird, like shooting pain, but like dull and throbbing, but also shooting. I don't really know how to describe it, but there was that. And then also I was having another issue of, because the strap is like Velcro, it's quite thick, and the Velcro part keeps rubbing on my shoulder where the rash is. And so that was deeply uncomfortable. So I did not sleep very well. So I ended up sleeping in today. It is currently 3:40 p.m. and I'm just now updating you because it's been a day. And when I woke up this morning, I was like, I feel my rash. Like, it doesn't itch, it tickles when like my clothes touch it, like tickles, which is really very awful, but it's starting to spread down my arm. I don't know if you will be able to see, but it's coming down my arm now. And if it was just contact dermatitis, it wouldn't be spreading, because it would have gone where the contact was and it would have stayed there, and it would be getting better, where now it's getting worse. So luckily, through my like hospital healthcare system, there's like a way you can message your doctor. It goes to like their nurse team, but I was able to message them and send a picture of my rash, and they said, not a rash, that looks like an allergic reaction. Yay! Evidently they switched from using iodine to something different for like cleaning of the site before surgery, and the nurse said that it looked like I had an allergic reaction to that. Yeah, my mom is going to get me Benadryl and like a hydrocortisone cream to put on there, because evidently it's not just going to go away on its own, because it's an allergic reaction, not a rash. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that so beautiful? It's just quite evil, because I had used, and it looked like the iodine, so I don't know if it was like if they used the iodine and something else, not sure, because I had all the orange on there. You saw all the orange, so I'm not really sure what went on there, but like they didn't say anything. And I never had this issue for either of the other surgeries I had, but I guess they also didn't do it like that. But they put the iodine stuff on for my biopsy, so I'm really not sure what happened. I don't know. I'll probably never know. Hopefully this is the last surgery I'll ever have, so I'll never need to know. Hopefully. So, you know, feeling really great about that. Also really glad that I reached out and that my mom encouraged me to reach out, because otherwise I would have just been like, oh, it's just a rash, like it'll go away. And it probably wouldn't. Like, it would go away eventually, but like there's things I can do in the meantime to help, because contact dermatitis just kind of goes away. Like, there's nothing you can really do for it. So glad I reached out. But while I was reaching out, I said I had asked for a picture of my lump, and I know they had taken a picture because Andrew, my nurse, he had brought in a phone to be able to take it. So I know the picture exists. So I asked for it. I am going to put it in here, okay? And I am going to say, warning, if you do not like medical things, first of all, I'm not sure why you're watching this, but if you like can handle hearing it but you can't see it, I'm going to put a timestamp up here. Click away till this time, because you don't want to see it. It's horrible. So I was told that it was just going to be like a little yellow glob and there wasn't going to be much to see. Wrong. Okay, so here it is. Look away now. This is your final warning. That's my lump. Why does it look like that? First of all, it's huge. Okay, it's gone now. It's gone. I put it away. It's huge, okay? And now I knew it was big. They had told me it was big. They were like, girl, that's big. You got to get it taken out. I didn't realize it was quite that big. Like, being inside my boob and then being outside, I'm like, oh my God. It's like 8 centimeters, which is like 3 inches. gagged. Also, she said it was gonna be like a smooth, like gelatinous, kind of like an egg yolk. That's not what that was. That is not what that was. So glad I got that picture. I did yelp a little when I opened the file because I was like, that's not at all what I was expecting. And also huge. So of course I showed it to everyone because of course I did. My grandma, same one who's been helping me out here, she is real big into medical stuff, so I texted her if she wanted to see it, and she said yes with an exclamation mark and a thumbs up emoji. So she said, sure is big. I said, yeah it is. So, you know, show me for growing that myself. And also, how did I not feel it when it was smaller? Horrifying. But anyway, so that's the update that I have on my actual health. I feel like I'm not in as much pain as I was yesterday, like through my armpit and everything. The actual like incision site here feels a little bit sore and tender, but I'm not in as much like pain, I guess, if that makes sense. So doing pretty good. Okay, so also last night I finished Tits Up, and I was working on writing my review because I'm trying to get better at writing reviews, okay? And also because I was in pain, it was taking my mind off of it, so I said, let me work on this. And overall, I think that it's a good read. It's a very accessible nonfiction because the author writes in a way that is very easily digestible. And if she mentions any like historic figures or feminist theories or historic feminist theories or historic feminists, she explains who they are or what they are in context of the story or of what she's talking about. So you're getting the background that makes it so that you're fully understanding what's happening, but it's not just like info dumping, giving you so much information that you don't need. And so nothing really felt like it was going over my head. Granted, I have a little bit of background in like feminist theory and everything, but so I did really enjoy that. Overall, I was thinking about, do I want to give this like a star rating? Because it's part memoir, part nonfiction, because she's talking about her own experiences and like she is like a character in the story. But I do think that giving it a star rating is normal. Okay, so I'm going to. And I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I really liked the writing and I really liked 3 of the 5 chapters. I liked the sex worker chapter, the plastic surgery chapter, and the like bra designer chapters. The other 2 that I didn't love as much, simply just because I felt like the content of those chapters was a little bit all over the place, were the milk banker chapter and then the witches chapter, because it turned out she was on this like witchy kind of like a cult retreat, but the chapter itself felt more about like breasts and breast iconography in religion, which was definitely still very interesting, just not something that I was particularly interested in. So that's my thought on those. And then I really liked the conclusion. The conclusion did a very good job of wrapping all of the chapters up together. So I did enjoy that. Last time I talked about the book, I was mentioning how I was mentioning choice feminism and how women are like praised for making choices, but we don't often think of like the social context of those choices. And the author did mention that. She said, many breast surgeries are the result of social pressure, although the sociality of people's choices is often disavowed. So I like that she actually paid attention to that, because a lot of times it'll be like, well, she's making a choice, so good for her, but at the same time, why is she making that choice? So I like that that was included in there. Sometimes there were just some quotes that I just highlighted because they were funny. And I love that I've been reading a lot more on my Kindle, and especially with my surgery, it's been really nice to just do it one-handed. I love that it puts like your clippings thing, and so all of your quotes are in one place, because I completely forgot about this. But in the chapter where she was talking to like broad designers, and she was talking to one gay male designer, and she was talking about like why a lot of like high fashion models tend to be like flat chested, and one of the designers said, they say fashion models are flat because gay male designers are attracted to Twinkie boys. That's like a genuine quote that someone said to her. Took me out. The chapter, like the surgeon chapter, I really enjoyed that one, especially because I had just had surgery. So that was just like super fascinating to see. First of all, I knew that my surgery wasn't like a huge deal, but like it's still like a moderately invasive surgery. The way they described what was happening to the woman getting reconstructive surgery, they were like, yeah, and we just like sliced in and like lifted up this like flap, and we could see like the chest wall and like the ridges of her ribs. I said, no, unless absolutely medically necessary, you will not catch me doing that to myself, especially the way I'm healing from this. No, thank you. But then the chapter on like the bra designer, she was specifically talking to some women who were, I don't remember the exact term for it, but they come in, they're technically models, but they're like fit models, that's what they're called. So they just get put on the clothes and then see how they fit, so then the designers can look and see how they like fit on an actual person rather than just material itself. And I really like that. And they were for Old Navy, which I really enjoyed because I get a lot of my clothes from Old Navy. So they had a lot of conversations about like size inclusivity. And what I thought was really interesting was that every time she like introduced a new person that she was talking to, she would mention their like bra size. And I said, you know, that feels kind of unnecessary and kind of feels like it waters these women down to their bra size. So I didn't really love that, but I understand why she did it. I just didn't love it. But there was one conversation where she was talking to the designers about the difference between like sports bras and then like lingerie. And one of the designers said, it has to do with sex, how society views female breasts and how it polices them. A woman in a sports bra at a gym is perfectly acceptable, but God forbid you see her in a lace bra with equal coverage. That is indecent. And I was like, yeah, you're right, because personally, I don't care. But if you see a woman in a sports bra, you're like, oh yeah, she's like working out. You see a woman, it could be an even more full coverage bra, but it could be like lacy, and it's, oh, she is wearing her inside clothes outside. And it's just like, guys, come on, you know? And then towards the end, we got a few more quotes that I just wanted to share. We had, women had no federal right to breastfeed or to obtain an abortion, but we have the right to fake tits. And that, I was just like, yes, because, okay, first of all, I am incredibly pro-choice, obviously. And that is like bodily autonomy. And so is like any kind of breast augmentation, breast reconstruction. And so women can like make that choice of what to do with their body because it is feeding into the male gaze, but they can't choose whether or not they want to have a child. Gagged. But then also the federal right to breastfeeding, it makes me so upset. And I wish that we had had more conversations about that and about like laws surrounding boobs and chest and breasts. And there was like a little section on that, but I wish there had been more. But that could have been like its whole own chapter, honestly. And then finally, why are breasts so often set in opposition to intelligence and seriousness? And that just made me stop and think, because when you think of someone with like big boobs, you're not automatically putting them in the category of like smart. And truly, when you see like women with big boobs, they're usually in roles of like the ditzy blonde and not in the like smart, intelligent woman. And I think it's very interesting that we put those two things in separate boxes, because the size of the balls of fat on your chest and your intelligence have nothing to do with each other. So, you know, there's that. So I really enjoyed the book. I think that it was a good place to start because it gave a medium amount of knowledge about a lot of different topics on boobs. And so I did enjoy that. It was not something that I would have normally picked up, so I'm glad that I did. And it was like I said, a 3.5 because I really enjoyed the first, third, and fourth chapters, just not so much the second and fifth. But I would highly recommend picking it up if you're interested. Good evening. I feel like I got cut off by my dad coming home in the last clip, but I finished Tits Up and 3.5. Quite enjoyed it. So, new update. I am going to bed because of course I am. I am going to rub myself down in the hydrocortisone cream. Really looking forward to that. And I'm going to take another pain pill because we're not trying to have a repeat of last night. I have both of my windows open because I need airflow because I got really sweaty also last night. And reading update, I have started reading A Boob's Life by Leslie Lear, L-E-H-R. And I am loving it so far. I'm like 18% of the way through and I love her writing style. It's almost fully memoir. So it's like each chapter is like her reckoning with her own femininity and womanhood, specifically through her breasts. And in between those chapters, we get just like different like fact lists. So it'll be like almost like a timeline. So it was like timeline of all of the women who were in the Playboy magazines, and then this most recent one was like a timeline of like Miss America pageant facts. And I didn't know that Donald Trump owned that franchise at one point. That's horrifying. So I'm really loving it. I really love her writing style because it's reading like a literary fiction novel, but with like undertones of you're waiting for something bad to happen, because you can feel just like this bad thing lurking under the surface. And I fear that bad thing is her getting boobs. We're also getting like flashes. Like the first chapter is her grown, like as a woman present day as to when she was writing it with her husband, and still like reckoning with her own breasts. And I'm loving it. I really love her writing style. I'm flying through it. I've already highlighted some quotes, but I wasn't able to get this book on Libby. I had to get it through Hoopla, and you can't download Hoopla books to Kindle. So I'm just reading it on my computer, which isn't ideal, but it's fine. I just don't know if it's like putting my like notes anywhere.
like when you highlight stuff on Kindle, it puts in like the your clipping section, and I don't know that Hoopla has this. I'm really liking it so far. She's talking a lot about like the dichotomy of having breasts, where like on one hand she doesn't want to get them because she's also growing up in like the era of like Vietnam and protest at the Miss America pageant, where they burned bras, where really all they did was put them in a trash can, and the reporter was like, it's like burning draft cards, and so the two just kind of got conflated. And so she's like, so wearing bras is a bad thing, but I want to have to wear a bra because I want to have boobs, because having boobs is a sign of femininity and like a sign of being a woman. And she's also like a teenager during this time, and she's like, I want that male attention because that to me is how I feel like a woman, or how she's been taught to feel like a woman. So she wants to then have to wear a bra for that sake, but at the same time she's like, but I'm seeing all of this media about like wearing a bra is like anti-feminist. So she's really grappling with all that at a very young age. And also the relationship between her parents seems very tense. She has like a weird situation where for the time her mom is like very well off, like she is getting her PhD, she's a professor, I think, and she's like a working woman. Most of the other moms in her neighborhood are like stay-at-home like housewives. Her mom and her dad both work, and so there's like interesting things there where she thinks that her mom is this like super like well-off high-powered woman, but it seems like when we get glimpses of her and her dad, like her mom and her dad's relationship, it seems like things aren't really fully good there. Like her dad has like a full collection of Playboy magazines displayed like in the living room. There was one scene where they were like in the car and her dad just like reached over and grabbed her mom's boob while her like the kids were in the back seat, and her mom just kind of like smiled at her. She's like, I didn't know if my mom was upset that he had grabbed her boob in front of us or because he had grabbed it at all. And I was like, there's just some very interesting conversations here, and I'm really enjoying it. Thoroughly enjoying this so far, but I will keep you updated as I go. I'm gonna go to sleep and I will talk to you again in the morning. I feel like these updates are getting fewer and farther between. It's like 1 in the morning and 1 at night, but that's really all you need, you know? So I will update you again tomorrow morning. Sleep good. Hello and happy Thursday. I am coming at you today with my first update at 11 p.m. because I feel like as we get further into the week, I've just had less and less to say about my actual recovery, because it's just been, yeah, I'm kind of in pain today, but like what else is new? However, I will say last night I slept beautifully, like truly wonderful. It also like had cooled down and I had both my windows open, so got a nice cross breeze going, but slept really good. Woke up, got stuff done. I made beef stew for dinner in the crock pot, and that was delicious. That's also the most like physical I've been, which sounds crazy, since my surgery, because I had to like chop everything up and like sear the meat and do everything. So curious to see if I feel the effects of that tomorrow. My rash / allergic reaction is still going strong. It's getting itchier, so that's lovely. I will say that hydrocortisone cream that I put on last night, I think that's really what helped me sleep so good, because I couldn't like feel it, and that was wonderful. So I'm definitely gonna do that again tonight. I was contemplating earlier not taking a pain pill just to see, but I don't know, it doesn't feel good right now, and so I'd rather just have, like, they wouldn't have given me as many as they did if they didn't want me to take them, you know, because they gave me 20, which is a lot more than I thought I was going to get, but they wouldn't have given me that many if they didn't want me to take that many, you know, and it's not like I'm abusing them. I'm taking 1 at night before I go to sleep. So I'm okay with that. So that's where we're at on that front. Pain, it's mostly like situated at the incision site today. I'm just putting those pieces together now, but because like this is gonna sound crazy. Again, if you're a freak, this isn't for you. But I can feel my nipple in there and I can touch that and it's fine. And then next to it, which is where the incision was made, that's where my pain is radiating from. So I guess it's good that it's not like the full boob on like the full side of my body anymore. So that's good. I might ice it tomorrow just because I feel like that might help. I also will need to shower again at some point, and I'm afraid of that. My book, I'm reading A Boob's Life. I am now 81% of the way through. I was 18% last night. Today I'm 81%. And I'm still enjoying the writing style, but I'm not loving the content as much. It's still just like her life and her breast story, but now she has grown up, graduated high school, graduated college, she has a job, she was married, she got divorced, she has 2 daughters, and it's just the things that she's choosing to talk about. I'm like, I don't understand why this is what we're focusing on. Like, clearly it's important to her and for her story and the way she wants it told, but there were a lot of points where I'm like, do I even want to finish reading this? Because I feel like, why, you know? Yeah, so that's kind of how I'm feeling about it now. I don't think I'm gonna give this one a star rating because it purely is memoir. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it because it's kind of just like her life story. The marriage that she was in was awful, so the tension that I was feeling,
her bad marriage. It was awful. It was interesting reading the chapters about her marriage, because looking back and like writing retrospectively on it, she obviously knew that it like wasn't a super healthy marriage because she got herself out of it. But like while she was in it, she didn't realize that. And so she was writing from the perspective of, in the moment, I didn't think it was that bad because like I never thought that that would happen to me. But then as she's writing it, obviously years removed from it, she has like that perspective. So that was quite interesting. I just feel like she thinks about her boobs so much and she thinks about other people's boobs. So I'm like, I have never once in my life dedicated this much brain power to thinking about my own boobs or anyone else's boobs. Like there were times where I was reading this where she was just going on and on about like other women and other girls' boobs. And I was like, has she ever considered that maybe she's not straight? Like, I don't want to speculate on anyone's sexuality, but the way that she's just constantly obsessed with other people's boobs, I'm like, ma'am, that's like, is that normal? Because I don't think so. I don't think about other people's boobs like that, but like every single person she meets, her eyes are immediately going to their boobs. And I'm like, Queen, I'm sorry that you were ever put in a position where that's the only thing that you like really think about, but good Lord. To be fair, she does kind of touch on the fact that she thinks a lot of her problems with this stem from her father, and how her father like only ever, like her father was cheating on her mother and seemingly only with like younger women with bigger boobs. So that, and like she always wanted her dad's approval. And so that could definitely be part of it, but like, Queen, I don't think that's normal. She's just like so hyper focused on both her boobs and everyone else's boobs. Like she's just constantly comparing, constantly thinking about them. And it's just like, at some point, go to therapy. And I feel like she mentioned going to therapy at one point, and I feel like we're not getting to the root of the issue here. But so those are my thoughts. I wonder if we will reflect on that. I don't know. I just feel like it's very interesting, this book, because she's coming from a perspective that is in some ways very similar to my own, like the way she grew up, but at the same time, like so completely not at all the same. There were a lot of conversations about how when she like was first getting her job, she felt the need to dress like a man. So she was wearing like suits and covering up her boobs to try and be taken seriously, but then at the same time felt the need to show some cleavage to still be seen as a woman, and then to be like, at some point it seemed like she wanted to be not objectified, but like she wanted the male attention, and so she wanted to show cleavage in order to get that. She just, I think, is displaying something that we saw in Tits Up as well, where it's like, you want to have boobs to be seen as desirable and like as feminine, but on the other hand, you don't want to have to show those boobs in order to be seen as valuable. And I think that that's a good conversation to be had, because yeah, that is kind of how the world works, but we're not having that conversation. Like, she's saying those things, but that's not the conversation that we're having. So I also think this title is misleading, because it's not how America's obsession shaped you and me, it's how it shaped her. And it's not America's obsession, it is her obsession. Granted, it is based on America. Like, I understand the title, I get it. I just feel like, again, Queen, you're like hyper focused on these boobs. Oh my God. But she was detailing her story with breast cancer and like chemotherapy and radiation and everything. It's so much worse than I knew, because I don't personally know anyone who had or has breast cancer. So everything that I read was like new information to me. I was just like, oh my God, it's not just like having cancer and then like removing the lump or like the cancerous cells or whatever. It's the radiation after. It like burned her skin, and then her like fingernails curled and fell off, and she was like bleeding. Her like the tissue in her eyes built up, so she had to have like needles stuck in there to make sure that her eyes would stay open. Like, truly horrible stuff. And I was like, no one tells you this. And I'm just so grateful that mine was not breast cancer. Like, I got the result. Oh my God, exciting news. I got my pathology results back today, and I got a call from the doctor confirming that when they dissected the lump they took out, it is just a fibroadenoma. There was no cancer found within it. And that's just like a weight off my shoulders, because while the biopsy and the ultrasound had come back that it was just a fibroadenoma, there was always a chance that like deep down in there could have been some cancerous cells. So knowing that that's not the case, it's just like, like, thank you. I'm so grateful and so lucky and privileged that's not the case, because based on what I've read here, and obviously everyone's breast cancer experience is going to be different based on the type of cancer they have, the stage they have, what kind of treatment they decide to go with. It's all going to be different. But like, that just sounds so horrible. And I can't imagine going through that. And all the women who do are just so strong and brave, but they shouldn't have to be, you know? It's just so scary to think that one day you wake up and it just could be there. and there's not really anything you can do about it. So it's just so crazy to me that that just like happens to people. But glad that it's not me yet. There is a chance that I could get more fibroadenomas in the future that could then turn into cancer, and I feel that there's just always a chance that cancer shows up. But for me right now, that's not the case. This book is making me think, which is what I always want from a nonfiction, or like really any book really. So I'm glad that it has that, and I'm still enjoying the writing. It's very easy to get through. I started listening to the audiobook towards the end, just because I kind of wanted to see what the audiobook was like, and I'm enjoying it. I am very curious as to the relationship between her and her two daughters, because she had a boob job. That was like part of her story. And now her daughter's like, well, I kind of want a boob job. And like she took her to her same surgeon to get a consultation, and she's like, I don't want my daughter to do that. Like, am I setting this example that like her body isn't good enough and that she needs to have a boob job? Like, I'm not trying to start like a familial tradition of we all get boob jobs. And I'm just like, that's a very interesting take to have. Also, her daughter was like, I am not a feminist. And I'm like, oh girl, okay. And then her mom was like, girl, yes you are. She was like, I'm literally not though. And her mom's like, oh, I've been raising her to think that she is equal, not that she has to fight for equality. And so she thinks that she doesn't have to be a feminist because equality's already been achieved. And that, I think, is also a very interesting conversation. Because yes, like raising your kids, like if I had a daughter, I would raise her with under the notion that she is equal and that she is deserving of everything that a man is deserving of. But like in a feminist way, in a way of, yes, we're gonna have to fight for that, but like you still are deserving, where it seems like she had raised her daughter under the notion of, no, you already have equality. So I think that's quite interesting. I wonder if she'll talk at all about the concept of post-feminism, which is the idea that we have moved beyond a need for feminism because women have gained equality in all the ways that matter. And that kind of feels like the perspective that her daughter has. So I'm curious to see if that will be brought up at all. I don't think that it will, because this book isn't like centered in feminist theory. So I will be interested to see what kind of turns we take here, and if there will be more links to post-feminism that she does not make but that I will see. So curious about that. Post-feminism is a really interesting concept for me, because to me, we so clearly still have a need for feminism, and obviously that comes from my perspective of being a women's and gender studies major. I don't know how any woman out there can think, no, we're past feminism, we don't need that anymore. And you know, maybe there was a time when women did think that. And I think given our current administration, we might be seeing a move away from that notion, because just so many rights are being stripped from so many people that I wonder if we're going to see post-feminism really dying out. Philosophical ponderings for too late at night. So I'm gonna go to sleep, going to take my pain pill and rub myself with my hydrocortisone cream, and hopefully sleep really well. So I will see you again in the morning. That clip you just saw was me finishing my book. But before we get there, I have some things to say. First of all, last night, almost immediately after I stopped filming, I went to put on my hydrocortisone cream, and I realized that my rash had spread. It now goes further down my arm, and it goes down my side here, which it had not done previously. So that was, you know, incredibly concerning, especially because it should not be spreading, because all of the stuff that I should have been allergic to should be gone now, you know. And I've been taking the Benadryl and putting on the cream, so like it shouldn't be getting worse. If anything, it should be getting better. So that was concerning. So I changed out of my like hospital bra into just this little like spaghetti strap, like tank top type thing. Look, you can see tank top type bra, and went to sleep in that. So I woke up this morning, rash is still everywhere that it was and had spread to. So I had to reach back out to my like doctor's nurse team, and was told that I'm to continue taking the Benadryl and doing the cream, but if it continues to spread or get worse, I have to go to urgent care. Yeah, I don't want to do that, but if that's what they're telling me I have to do, it's what I'm gonna do. So that's deeply upsetting. Obviously not the news I wanted, not the news you wanted either, I'm sure, but unless you're like preying on my downfall for some crazy reason, which, stop that. But yeah, it's just really upsetting, because I thought we were like getting through the thick of it, and now it seems like it's getting worse. So it's also getting itchier, especially like this area here, incredibly itchy, but at least it's not like the whole thing is super itchy, right? That's my rash update. As for how I slept, I actually slept really well. This bra has less support than the one I was wearing from the hospital, so it's also a lot tighter around my rib cage, like the band part. So I didn't sleep as well like I slept fine, but just like not super great. And I'm in like a decent amount of pain. The pain is like on the incision site, but like radiating deeper into my chest. So that's something. But I also feel like, I don't really know how to explain it, but I feel like wearing a less supportive bra is maybe getting me more used to the way it's going to feel. The actual surgery recommendation is to wear a bra 24/7 for 1 week, where my doctor recommended 2 weeks to prevent the area where the lump is removed filling with fluid, because that can happen if there's not enough compression and like support, but it's not like super common, so that's just why she recommends 2 weeks just in case. So I'm gonna do the 2 weeks because I'm not trying to risk it. Oh, and also today is officially 1 week since my surgery. It is currently 2:01 p.m., which means this time last week I was being surgerized. I keep saying surgerized. I don't think that's a real word, but it's what I like to use. It's like bearable pain. Like it's not really very awful. I will say, because there's so much less support in this bra, I have to be so much more careful when I'm just like walking around like doing normal things. So like that's not ideal, but it is what it is. So that's honestly gonna be my last update on that, because I don't want to extend this vlog too much longer because it's currently at over an hour long because it's a full week of content. And also I'm just not gonna have that much more to say. I will keep you updated in like posts on like the channel, and also if you want to follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I'll be doing updates there. But this vlog just doesn't really need to be any longer, especially because updates are going to be either rash is going away, yippee, rash is spreading, I'm going to urgent care, not yippee, and pain is diminishing, yippee. So that's really all that there's going to be on that front. As for A Boob's Life, I did finish that this morning. I liked it less than Tits Up, which is very interesting. So I'm glad I read them in the order that I did, actually, because Tits Up was much more like informative, I feel like, where A Boob's Life was like just a memoir with like a little bit of history thrown in there. And I enjoyed the way that Boob's Life was written. Again, still like super accessible if you're not like big into nonfiction. Definitely, I think this is a good way to go, because you're still getting information about like historical facts and things about breasts, but it's written just like a memoir, so it's a little bit easier to get into. However, I don't think that, I'm struggling with my thoughts on this, because I feel like had I read this earlier in my life, I think I would have liked it more. Specifically, I think had I read it before college, I would have liked it a lot more than I do. However, I think the hinge point for me is that I have like quite a bit of feminist background. I did my whole degree pretty much in feminism, and so a lot of the things she talks about, I'm like, yes, and I just feel like she's like so close to like making like really good statements and like really good connections, and she just like misses the mark a little. However, I recognize that my perspective makes it so that I'm seeing things a little bit different than other people. So I think if you are looking to get into feminism, specifically like fourth wave feminism, which is what we're currently in, which is more like intersectionality, I think this is a good read. However, I think that it also should go a step beyond this. So again, I enjoyed it for what it is. I just also wish, like, you had seen my thoughts on it. Every time I'm like, oh, I wonder if she'll talk about this aspect of feminism, and then she never does. But that's also not what the book's trying to do. However, looking back at it, I'm not sure what the book was trying to do. I think what the author was trying to do was to show her journey of coming to appreciate her own boobs and understand that while they might not be perfect, they're hers, and so she needs to appreciate them for what they are. And I think that if you're looking just for like a memoir about someone's experience with their own chest and coming to love themselves as they are, and then their experience with like breast cancer and how that changes their perspectives on themselves, I think this is a good read. However, you have to also acknowledge that you're in for like some feminist theorying here, just not fully. I think that if you're reading it just for the memoir aspect, you're gonna really like it. But I think if you're reading it to try and glean some knowledge about the history of boobs and the way that they've been viewed, I don't think this is necessarily the read for you, because yes, those chapters, like the in-between chapters that have like different like fact sheets, pretty much is what I would call them, they're fascinating, but I don't think that there's really a whole lot of information that's really gonna like stick with you, because like I mentioned in one previous clip, like it makes me think, but then once I like process the thought I had, I move on. right? Because I just feel like there's nothing in here that's like really making me like sit with my thoughts. It's kind of just like, oh, I wish we had gone a little further with this, but then because we don't go further with it, I have no need to think further on it. Again, I think it could be a good jumping off point, but I don't know that it's necessarily as deep as you want to go with the topic. So overall, I don't think I'm going to give this one a star rating because it's a memoir, but if I were, I think it would get a 2.5, which is like right in the middle. It's like a 5-star rating scale, right in the middle, because I like the writing style. I was very fascinated about this woman's life for like the first half. It also just felt like something that I think I didn't touch on is it really focused on like the beginning of her life, like her childhood, and then like her later in life, and the whole middle chunk went by super fast. And I was honestly getting like whiplash at points. I was like, we are moving so fast, like so much is happening through here, and like big things were happening, and I was like, no, this here is like a big deal, and we're just like not talking about it. And like that's the author's decision to like not talk about those things because like it's her life story. But it just felt very interesting, the things she chose to focus on versus the things she didn't. So also her getting cancer kind of like came out of left field, which like, you know, going into the book that's what happens because it's like in the synopsis, but it still felt crazy the way it happened. It felt more of like a story of self-love and like finding home in your own body rather than a story of boobs and how they shape us. Especially because I think the subtitle of this book, How America's Obsession Shaped Me and You, like yes, kind of, but it really focuses on herself. And there's this little section of the synopsis as, at turns funny and heartbreaking, a boob's life explores both the joys and hazards inherent to living in a woman's body. Lear definitely blends her personal narrative with national history, starting in the 1960s with the women's liberation movement and moving to the current feminist dialogue and what it means to be a woman. Yes, but I feel like mostly just her own narrative. Her insightful and clever writing analyzes how America's obsession with the female form has affected her own life's journey and the psyche of all women today. And that's the part that I disagree with, because I don't think she really touches on the psyche of all women. I think she touches on her own psyche, and there's definitely things that like everyone can take away from her experiences, but I don't think that necessarily she broadens the scope to apply it to all women. It was only then in the second to last chapter where she's talking about attending the Women's March with her 2 daughters, or maybe only one of her daughter and a niece, but she says, the opportunity and earnings that white women marched for were riches compared to the basic needs and safety others lacked. We had to expand the scope of our fight to make all women equal. Only then could we truly work together to be equal to men. And that's like one of the only times that she fully acknowledges that what she is fighting for and what women of color are fighting for, 2 vastly different things, because she is just fighting for like autonomy of her own body, where that's what like a lot of women are fighting for, but like Black women are fighting for so much more than that. And that's like the only time that it's fully recognized, and it kind of pained me that it was so far into the book. But also that's not like her story, like that's because intersectionality wasn't something that she really thought about a whole lot in her life. But then I think trying to make this fit for all women is just not what it should be doing. Again, I understand that my women's and gender studies background kind of jades my vision of this, so there's that. Take my opinions with a grain of salt, because if you are just getting into feminism, or like you're in it but you don't have like an academic feminist background, I think you might really enjoy this and it might be a better stepping off point, and you probably won't have as cynical of a view. Overall, I enjoyed the book. 2.5, like it's not a good rating, but it's not awful, you know? And so I think I am gonna give it a star rating just because why not? But yeah, I didn't hate my time reading it. I enjoyed a lot of it. It's just there's a lot of chunks that I really liked and wish had been expanded upon, and then some of it where I was like, because then like the last chapter was just like this happened, history, feminist, and I was like, yes, but I feel like this could have been sprinkled throughout the whole book. But I also think it's a good representation of how throughout her early life she wasn't super aware of feminism. Like it was there in the background of her life, but it was never in the forefront. And then as she gets older and Donald Trump gets elected, it comes to the forefront of her life, and so it comes to the forefront of the novel, which I did kind of like that parallel. I think it's definitely a good read. It definitely makes you think, especially in our current political climate. It makes you think. I just think that I've thought these thoughts already, so it just doesn't do a whole lot for me. So those are my thoughts on that. And that brings us to the end of this vlog. I will say, as for my rash, I did just put on more hydrocortisone cream, and it has spread. It's like, okay, you can't really see it all, but like it's healing in this area, but it's getting worse in this area. So that's my update on that. Obviously, there's still going to be more updates because I'm going to be healing probably for the next few weeks, honestly, as the incision heals, the rash heals. But if you want to stay up to date with how that's going, follow me on Instagram and TikTok, because that's where I'll be posting more frequent, smaller updates about that. As of right now, I'm feeling good, right? It feels weird to not have the lump in me anymore because it was in there for a decent amount of time, and now like I don't feel it. So interested to see how like the full healing goes, because I still have like the steri strips on and everything, but I'm feeling good. I'm in like a little bit of pain, but it's completely manageable with just like Tylenol, so that's exciting. And I had a really wonderful experience, and I'm glad that I shared. In like the middle of the week, I was like, is this helpful to anyone? But I think that it is. It was helpful for me at least to like talk through my feelings. So I hope that there's someone out there who found this helpful and maybe found some companionship in this. Maybe that's my goal. And at the beginning of the video, I did say that I was going to put a bunch of resources for women's health in description, and I will be doing that. So I have several that I'm going to be sharing. So from the CDC websites, their women's health resources page will be shared, as well as the Cleveland Clinic Women's Health Resources, which has a whole slew of different links in here into different conditions, disorders, anything that you would want to know. There's a lot of really good information there. Planned Parenthood, I will be sharing some of their information. Back to Cleveland Clinic, there's a page about breast lumps that talks you through the different types of lumps, what they feel like, when you should be concerned, things like that, because I would have liked to have that, as well as from the Susan K. Komen website for breast cancer, steps to do if you find a breast lump and what your next steps could be, as well as the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, if you find a lump in your breast, here's what to do next. And finally, the National Breast Cancer Foundation, what is a breast lump page, facts about breast lumps, just a whole bunch of different information there. So women's health generally, as well as just breast lumps more specifically. So I hope that if you are looking for information, something there can be helpful to you. And I hope that this vlog was interesting, maybe. I hope that you maybe learned something about the process of a lumpectomy, and maybe that you enjoyed what I had to say about some of these books. So I always like to ask some questions at the end of my vlogs, and I think today it's going to be, would you read either of these two books? Does one sound more interesting than the other to you? If you watch all the way to the end of the video, comment the pink heart emoji so I know that you made it all this way and that you're seeing this. And I will see you again next week with something new, something fun, something less serious, hopefully, and maybe not some nonfiction, because I'm kind of nonfictioned out. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me an outlet to have all of these thoughts. And I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!